How did a man who could barely hear a single note compose some of the most powerful music the world has ever known? This is the story of Ludwig van Beethoven, the titan who bridged two musical eras and composed masterpieces in silence. Ludwig van Beethoven was born on December 17, 1770, in Bonn, in the Electorate of Cologne. His father Johann was a court musician who recognized his son's talent early and pushed him relentlessly, sometimes harshly, to practice. His grandfather, also named Ludwig, had been the Kapellmeister at the Bonn court. By the age of 12, Beethoven was already a skilled keyboard player. Christian Gottlieb Niffy became his most important early teacher, introducing him to the works of Johann Sebastian Bach. In 1783, Niffy helped publish Beethoven's first composition, a set of keyboard variations. In 1787, Beethoven traveled to Vienna, reportedly meeting Mozart briefly. But his mother's illness forced him back to Bonn, where she died shortly after. He took on the role of family provider, playing viola in the court orchestra and supporting his younger brothers. In 1792, Beethoven moved permanently to Vienna to study with Joseph Haydn. He quickly gained a reputation as a brilliant and fiery pianist, stunning aristocratic audiences with his improvisations. Patrons like Prince Lichnowsky and Count Razumovsky provided crucial financial support. By the late 1790s, Beethoven had published his first major works, including his three piano trios Op. 1 and the Pathetic Sonata. These compositions already showed his signature intensity, dramatic contrasts, and willingness to push the boundaries of classical form. Around 1798, Beethoven began to notice a terrifying problem: he was losing his hearing. By 1802, the despair had become so great that he wrote the Heiligenstadt Testament, a letter to his brothers confessing his anguish and his determination to continue living for the sake of his art. Despite his hearing loss, Beethoven entered his most productive period. In 1801, he composed the Moonlight Sonata, dedicated to his pupil Countess Giulietta Guicciardi. Its haunting first movement became one of the most recognized pieces of music in history. In 1804, Beethoven completed his Third Symphony, the Eroica. Originally dedicated to Napoleon Bonaparte, he angrily scratched out the dedication when Napoleon declared himself emperor. The Eroica was longer and more emotionally complex than any symphony before it, marking a turning point in orchestral music. Beethoven's middle period produced an astonishing series of masterworks. His Fifth Symphony, with its famous four-note opening motif, premiered in 1808 alongside his Sixth Symphony, the Pastoral. That same concert also introduced his Fourth Piano Concerto and the Choral Fantasy. Between 1808 and 1812, Beethoven composed Für Elise, his Emperor Concerto, and the Archduke Trio. In 1812, he wrote the famous letter to his unnamed immortal beloved, the identity of whom remains one of music history's enduring mysteries. By 1814, Beethoven's hearing had deteriorated so severely that he could no longer perform publicly as a pianist. He relied increasingly on conversation books, where visitors wrote their questions and he responded aloud. Yet his creative output only deepened. Beethoven's late period saw some of his most profound and innovative compositions. The Hammerklavier Sonata of 1818 pushed the piano to its technical and expressive limits. His late string quartets, especially Op. 131 and Op. 132, are considered among the greatest chamber works ever written. Beethoven completed his Ninth Symphony in 1824. Its final movement, featuring a full chorus singing Friedrich Schiller's Ode to Joy, was unprecedented. At the premiere in Vienna, Beethoven was on stage but could not hear the thunderous applause. A soloist had to turn him around to see the audience's standing ovation. Beethoven composed the Appassionata Sonata, one of his most passionate piano works, in 1805. Along with the Waldstein Sonata and Les Adieus, it represented the peak of his heroic middle period, combining ferocious energy with structural innovation. Beethoven's personal life was marked by turmoil. He never married, and his long legal battle for custody of his nephew Karl caused immense stress. Karl's attempted suicide in 1826 devastated the composer and contributed to a sharp decline in his health. Beethoven's influence extended far beyond the concert hall. He was one of the first major composers to function as a freelance artist rather than a servant of the aristocracy. He insisted on artistic independence, changing the social status of composers forever. On March 26, 1827, Ludwig van Beethoven died in Vienna at the age of 56. An estimated 20,000 people attended his funeral procession. Among the torchbearers was Franz Schubert. An autopsy revealed severe liver damage and significant deterioration of his auditory nerves. Beethoven left behind 9 symphonies, 32 piano sonatas, 16 string quartets, 5 piano concertos, 1 violin concerto, 1 opera, and hundreds of other works. His music inspired every major Romantic composer who followed, from Brahms and Wagner to Mahler and beyond. In 1972, the Ode to Joy was adopted as the anthem of Europe. Ludwig van Beethoven proved that the greatest art can emerge from the deepest adversity. Deaf, isolated, and often in pain, he composed music that continues to move millions more than 2 centuries later. If this story inspired you, please subscribe for more educational biographies. Thank you for watching.